Welcome to another online video in our series entitled From Mindless Memorization to Meaningful Understanding, Engaging and Forming Disciples via Systematic Catechesis. Online topics in this entire series are listed here. We hope that these short, concise videos will support catechetical leaders and catechists as they engage in the implementation of our Archdiocesan's curriculum resources. This video, number 4, part 1, presents only an overview of lesson design. What catechists should consider doing before writing a lesson plan, how and why sections of a lesson plan should be sequenced, the during part, and what to consider after the lesson has been taught. This slide will show you the goals for this particular video. You should be able to answer these questions when we're finished. What should I consider before writing a lesson plan? What are the sequenced parts of an effective lesson plan? Why must I incorporate them in my lessons? And why should I consider after the lesson has been taught? Our Bishop, the eminent Daniel Cardinal DiNardo, shared his understanding of 21st century best practices as he addressed catechists at a gathering in 2002. His method of pedagogy wants that all catechists should know the Lord, know their audience, know their material, know current best practices, which is the how, and include a prayerful reading of a scripture in each and every lesson. He wanted our lessons to be infused with Scripture. Our curriculum framework for lifelong faith formation is the what we teach, the content of our faith. Age-appropriate learning targets provide catechist statements of our faith or the objectives or goals for our lessons. Content alone, however, is not enough. Catechists need to use mind-engaging instructional and assessment methods that foster long-term memory and deep understanding of our Catholic faith. As explained in an earlier video on paradigm shift, we must implement a new teaching paradigm. No longer is it the catechist's job to do all the talking, to merely tell learners about a topic. It's our job to connect those topics to the lives of our learners and to allow time for them to dialogue with their peers in order to make sense of our faith. Stand and deliver methods by the catechist and sit and get learning by the learners is the old paradigm. That paradigm has been replaced with a more collaborative strategy where learners periodically turn and talk and where small groups dialogue about a topic while the catechist monitors these discussions, similar to what a coach would do with his team from the sidelines. The greatest impact on learning is the daily lived experiences of students in classrooms, and that is determined much more by how teachers will teach than by what they teach. So, what should I consider before even beginning to write my lesson plan? Pause this video for 2 minutes and think of specific things you think about before you plan a lesson. Now take a moment to check your thinking by reading these 4 questions. Did you include all of these aspects of before lesson planning? Here's a hint. Our Cardinal does, and he is especially interested in the last one. How will I know if the students understand? He says, how do we know that they know? This question must be thought through and planned before even beginning to teach your lesson. Don't forget to plan assessment throughout each lesson, not merely at the end. Otherwise, your classroom will look more like a sit and get, where the teacher is only standing and delivering content. For more ideas, attend the catechetical module training that's entitled Assessment Strategies. What are the sequenced parts of an effective lesson plan, and why must I incorporate them in my lessons? This part of our video will list and define the parts of a lesson and their purpose. Parts 2, 3, 4, and 5 will be explained further in the subsequent videos. These are the components of the lesson design. I will go into each part at this time and explain each section. Beginning the lesson. Opening prayer. We know why we begin lessons with an opening prayer: to dialogue with God in a community of faith learners and to center our hearts, minds, and souls on Jesus Christ. So select a prayer that connects to the lesson's topic or theme, or you can use one of the common formulas that's found in the framework in the appendix at the back, and it's also on our Catechetical Resources website. Or pick a scripture to be discussed or a prayer from the textbook itself. Also in beginning the lesson is the part called Engage. Engage is the warm-up for the brain. This part of the lesson is always a short 3 to 5 minute discussion or activity that focuses learners on the topic. A mental warm-up grabs their attention, makes a personal connection with today's world, a hook that connects the learner's brain to the lesson's topic, and it engages learners to dig deep in their reviews or clarifies the meaning of the lesson's topic. Again, the engage portion helps us to focus on the lesson's topic, grab their attention, motivational tool, and clarify current misconceptions. The next part of the lesson section is called Explore. Explore is a diagnostic pre-assessment. This part of the lesson is a brief activity or discussions to pre-assess prior knowledge of this lesson's focus. Feedback informs a catechist's decision as to whether or not to continue with this lesson. Again, for an example of a lesson plan illustrating the Engage and Explore, see the subsequent videos. Now let's move on to the next part of the lesson design sequence, framing the content. Framing the content is done with the essential question. When framing a lesson, you start with the essential question and you end with that same essential question. So, what's an essential question? Essential questions differ from other questions in that they are open-ended, thought-provoking, important and transferable. They require support and justification. They also serve as cognitive bookends for students for units, daily lessons, and debriefing. Essential questions should be revisited again and again throughout the lesson. They provide focus for learners and for the catechist also. Now let's move on to the next part of the lesson design sequence, delivering the content. This part of the lesson comprises the greatest amount of time for any 75-minute catechetical section. Here, the catechist explicitly and directly teaches and facilitates activities that ensure learners can answer the EQ, the essential question, by the end of the lesson. For additional information about Explain, see one of the subsequent videos on this topic. Now let's move on to the next part of the lesson design sequence, ending the lesson. This part of the lesson requires individual learners to demonstrate that they have learned something new or have reaffirmed their prior knowledge of the lesson's focus by either independently answering the lesson's EQ or completing a task or project. The evaluation activity should attempt to transfer the lesson's faith concept to the learner's life beyond this learning environment. So again, this part of the lesson on Evaluate is to formally assess and check the understanding and to assess the effectiveness of the catechist lesson plan and delivery. For 3 to 5 minutes, the catechist summarizes and brings closure to the lesson in the debrief and self-reflect. This final step is crucial because it requires learners to pause and reflect and to state in their own language the essence of a new learning. Without this metacognitive moment, mystological reflection, new knowledge may not reach long-term memory parts of the brain. For examples of this part of the lesson, see the subsequent following video. Closing prayer. Select a prayer that connects to the lesson's topic, theme, or again, one that is found in the age-appropriate common prayers for the grade level you're teaching. Those again are listed in the appendix of the catechetical framework or on our catechetical resources website. So let's look at what we've done so far. We've accomplished 3 of our 4 goals for this video. What should I consider before writing a lesson plan? What are the sequenced parts of an effective lesson plan? And why must I incorporate them in my lessons? Once the lesson ends, the catechist needs to reflect on how it went. Pause for a moment and answer this final question. What should I consider after the lesson has been taught? Okay, so here's a few possible questions that you may be part of your list. Did my learners demonstrate a deeper understanding of the EQ at the end of the lesson than they did at the beginning? And how did I know this? Did I limit my talking to no more than 12 minutes in any given part of the lesson? Did my learners dialogue and participate in the lesson so as to remain mentally engaged throughout? Did I include in my explain part of the lesson only those activities that would assist learners in answering the EQ at the end of the lesson? Or did I just pick random activities that merely connected to the lesson's topic rather than to the lesson's EQ? Do I need to reteach any part or all of this lesson again? Might I need to extend this topic next time? How will I do so? In conclusion, it's time for you to self-reflect. Where are you on this continuum? What type of lessons do you provide your learners? Every teacher teaches 3 lessons. The one we plan to teach, the one we actually teach, and the one we wish we had taught. By planning, teaching, and reflecting on every lesson we teach, only then will we become better teachers or catechists. Practice makes perfect. For more detailed information on each part of this lesson sequence, please review the videos that will follow in this series.